Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Good evening and welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. This is Michelle sitting in for the one, the only C.L. Bryant, who is actually on the air with us as well. C.L., are you there?
I am here, Michelle, in the great state of Texas. Last night I was at the Buck Snort Barbecue there in Van Alstyne, Texas. Beautiful little town. Closed down the whole place and gave it to us. It was a fantastic.
Did you have barbecue?
Oh, yeah. Had barbecue at the Buck Snort. It was only in Texas. Only in Texas do you have a place called Buck Snort. It was fantastic.
Well, you've been talking to a lot of the Texans there. We talked earlier. You're going to be still in Texas for the next couple of days. But these people were not original Trump supporters, but now they're all on fire to get behind the president and get this agenda put together.
Michelle, you said it. You said it. People are beginning to be invigorated, especially after we have wins like we did last night. Now, the thing that we all need to be concerned about is what's in this health care plan, because we don't want the same type of shove it down your throat type of get it done thing that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, Harry Reid, pulled on us a few years back. But at least we are doing something. We're winning. We're 4-0 as far as filling vacant seats. The president is really elated, and I believe that he has the room now to start governing our country.
Well, and I think it gives a mandate. You know, it's so funny, CL. And we're going to have Karen Watson on, you know, Miss GOP herself, Rose Tennant.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about this a lot. And she'll be on a little bit later. But, you know, CL, the media was all about, oh, my God, they're going to lose Georgia. And you remember a couple weeks ago, we had a slugging Republican in Montana that beat any Democrat. So a violent, you know, anger management Republican beat a Democrat in Montana. The media says it's a mandate until we win. And now they're not talking about it. She's the first female to be elected to Congress in the state of Georgia. That should be, you know, just bipartisan. Everybody should be talking about that.
You know, Michelle, I keep hearing the president on the campaign trail telling us that we're going to get tired of winning. We're going to win so much, we're going to get tired of winning. I don't think it can, but... Yeah,
I don't think we'll get tired, but I know what you're saying, because we keep on winning and defying the odds. It was $30 million that they spent on that campaign, the Democrats did, to lose. $30 million.
The Democrats, Michelle, this has been a sad 24 hours for them. It's been so sad.
It's been sad since November 7th, you know, since Election Day. It's been sad, and we've been happy. We wake up in the morning, and Donald Trump is our president. Mike Pence is vice president. It doesn't get any better than that.
I don't think it could have gotten any better. And, you know, even though I was on the Ted Cruz wagon, and a lot of the people, as you were alluding to last night, were cruisers and so forth, and some of them were even never Trumpers. But I tell you what, when we're looking at the change and the salvation that came in politics, at least, for our nation through the election of this president, in these perilous times, Michelle, perilous times, you have officers being stabbed, you have Russians buzzing our planes, you have the Syrians going nuts, the little crazy fat kid in Colorado, not in Colorado, in North Korea. I don't know any crazy fat kids in Colorado, but in North
they don't
Korea,
allow them in Colorado. They send them other places. Yeah.
But just the same, we need the kind of personality that's in the White House.
The fact that we don't have a travel ban for North Korea to this day is shocking. That Obama was president, Mr. I care and I'm cautious and conscientious, and yet he never put a travel ban in place to a country that we know is our enemy. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's going to be the first thing that the president is going to work on.
Oh, absolutely, especially after the death of the college student that died here in such a tragic and unnecessary way. Had Trump, of course, we never know what we could read into anything, but I do believe there would have been a different outcome if if Donald Trump had been president or Ted Cruz had been president, either one of them.
Well, and speaking of you traveling in Texas, before we have to go, tonight you're going to be.
Yeah, I'm at a sort of a donor meeting. It's in an undisclosed location. I can't tell.
Undisclosed, okay. But tomorrow, it's not undisclosed.
Tomorrow I will be at the DoubleTree in Dallas, Texas, on Mockingbird, right there at Love Field. I'll be at that DoubleTree, and then tomorrow night I'll be up in Nash, Texas, right there near Texarkana. All you folks there in South Arkansas and northeast Texas, come on up to be with us. Michelle, you have the
Smokey Joe's barbecue. So it looks like you're eating a
Joe's.
lot of barbecue on this trip.
Smokey Joe. Well, it's Texas. It's Texas. That's what they do over here, and they do it pretty good over here in Texas. But we've had great turnouts. Talked to no less than 1,000 folks. Well, maybe more than 1,000 folks since I've been on this 3-day trip, and all of them are very enthusiastic about our country. You know what, Michelle? And I know we only got a couple of minutes, but I feel a wave of patriotism that is beginning to wash over our country, and I do believe that it is because he is being steadfast and unmovable and continuing to move forward, even in the face of the Democrats snapping at his heels like little yapping dogs that they have been.
Well, CL, it's so true, and it's inspiring to see American people. These are the people that are coming out and voting for these candidates are Americans. It's not money. That $30 million that the Democrats spent would have been better spent in Georgia changing lives. Then you're going to get votes. But just to spend that like that was crazy. Well, CL, we're excited. We'll keep letting people know where you're going to be. Nash, Texas. You'll be in Dallas tomorrow at the DoubleTree, and we can't wait to have you back. You'll be back on Friday.
Hey, you're doing a good job. I've heard good things. Talk to you soon, everybody.
Thank you. And we'll be back. We're back at the CL Bryant Show. As you can tell, CL is not here tonight. He is in Texas. Hopefully the weather won't keep him away too long. I'm here in the studio with Karen Watson, our lovely friend from Dallas, and a few others. The studio is getting packed. And just, of course, because right now we have our special guest, one of our favorite people, Louisiana Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Are you there, Billy?
I'm here. How you doing this afternoon?
We're doing great. I know you had a meeting here in Shreveport today, and you're traveling around the state. Whenever you come in town, we hear nothing but good things. I guess last night you were in Lafayette at a seafood contest?
Yes. We moved the Great Louisiana Seafood Cook-Off, which crowns the king or queen of seafood every year, and that proud chef will travel and promote not only Louisiana seafood, but also tourism around the country with us. So it's a great honor, and it was a great event. It was packed. We moved it out of New Orleans to Lafayette to try to do some things in other parts of the state and to help that area out as it's on a slump because of the oil industry. We're trying to do more things around the state to help build up the tourism industry in those areas.
Well, you've been an amazing lieutenant governor. A lot of people don't realize that listen to us in other states what falls underneath your leadership. Louisiana is one of the few states that has tourism under the lieutenant governor, and you're a businessman. And one of the reasons that we all voted for you is because you're using that business acumen to turn things around, using the resources we have and then turning it into revenue like this, taking a seafood competition, taking it to Lafayette, which, Billy, I think has some of the best food in America. New Orleans, Lafayette, that is some food.
Well, I tell you, we crowned the first queen of seafood. 10 years, a gentleman's been winning it every year. And last night, Bonnie Bro of the St. John Restaurant in St. Martinville is now the queen of Louisiana seafood. So we broke that barrier, and we've got a woman, the champion. So it'll be a great opportunity for her to show off her cooking skills around the country.
Well, all the studio guests are just hooting because it's a woman. But you've been in office for a little over a year. I mean, what have you noticed? Tell us something that our listeners can say, yeah, we've done this and we've accomplished this.
Well, I tell you, we've got this foundation passed by the legislature. We're going to use our state parks to make money, which is going to be a huge step that we won't always keep going back to taxpayers that will generate through these state parks. And that was a big win for the citizens of Louisiana. But I tell you, the passion and love everyone around the state has for the great state of Louisiana makes it such a pleasure to serve as a lieutenant governor. They truly love every corner of the state, whether it's up at the World Heritage Site at Poverty Point, the museums in every town, the old main streets. We just got so many unique things and so much flavor around the state. It's just a great job and great people to work with. So it's a pleasure. I've given over 200 speeches so far this year, and every one of them I learned something new at.
Real quick, the World Heritage designation that Poverty Point achieved, I guess, within the past year or about 2 years ago, what does that really mean? I don't think we as citizens know the significance of that.
Well, what it does, it puts it on the map of a World Heritage Site. Those mounds are over 3,400 years old, and a lot of the credit goes to Jay Dard, the past lieutenant governor. He worked very hard for many years to get that designated as a World Heritage Site. So we just got to make sure that we make that site all it can be. As people travel from all over the world,
right,
visit that place. Those mounds were built over 3,400 years ago. There's not another place like it in the world. So it's something that we can use to bring international visitors from all over the world and really create a special place to go in Louisiana.
Well, our audience is in North Louisiana. That's not far from here, but it is a huge significance. And I do know that Jay Darden did work on that and was very excited to get it. But it doesn't just bring a check. We have to take that and then make it into something. Now, you've done that a great deal. Isn't there a hashtag that you all came up with that, citizens can take a picture and use that hashtag?
Hashtag Only Louisiana, and we're asking people to share their experiences, all the great things they like to do in Louisiana. And what that does is it makes it easier for me to share those with people around the world of all the great things we have to come to in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hashtag Only Louisiana.
Only Louisiana. And we're such a unique state, Billy. I mean, that is appropriate for us. Only Louisiana. And before we let you go, let's talk about the weather. Another thing that you ran on is you were Plaquemine Parish president during Katrina. So, natural disasters, rainstorms. What do you think is going to happen with this little tropical storm, Cindy?
Well, we always want to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. On my ride back to Baton Rouge, I just arrived back here. It's just what it looked like this morning on the weather. We're getting heavy rain, but it's coming in bands and with a lot of breaks in between those bands. So the water actually has time to drain off. So based on what I've seen, I think we're going to see a little bit of wind, some bad rain, but a lot of breaks in between that bad rain. So I don't believe we'll have any substantial flooding except some of the coastal areas that are outside the levee system. Grand Isle has some water over the road. So do some of the areas in South Plaquemine that are outside the levee system, but they get water on the road for high tide. So I think we're going to be okay with this one, and we just got to keep prepared and hope we don't see a major storm this year.
Well, we appreciate how well you worked with the governor's office last year. Because of your experience when there was flooding in Baton Rouge, you were immediately able to implement plans and support our governor, regardless of party affiliation, because at the end of the day, we're all Louisianians together.
1 minute.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the governor allowing me a seat at the table to help out where I can. And it has been a good partnership in that respect. Of working on things that we can agree is good for Louisiana. So it's been a good partnership, and he's allowed me to help in a lot of ways, and I'm glad to always lend a hand.
Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, the great state of Louisiana, Billy Nungesser. Everyone remember that hashtag, Only Louisiana, and stay safe and dry, Billy.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Well, we will be back safe and dry here in the studio with one of our many guests. We have Karen Watson, who came in all the way from Dallas to eat our seafood. We'll be back. We are back at the C.L. Bryant Show, the Weather Hub. This is Michelle filling in for C.L. Bryant. And, we're in North Louisiana. We're experiencing some weather challenges. And on the line with us right now is Joe Bastardi. Joe, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just
Joe,
fine.
thank you for being on with us the other night, filling us in on all this. Everything you said to us is coming true. Tell us what we can expect now.
Well, the Cindy is going to, the center of it's going to move on shore near, right over the Golden Triangle and come up the Sabine River and then start hanging more of a rightward turn. And the center is going to come very close to us in the Arklatex. And it's the kind of situation where there's probably going to be 2 to 4 inches of rain in the period from tomorrow on into early Friday, and the threat of severe weather. There may be some pretty good wind gusts, 30, 40 miles an hour. I don't think it's anything too out of the ordinary. We've had severe weather situations with that before. But the biggest thing to look for is the threat of severe weather and, of course, some heavy rain. It's not a real powerful storm. It's only 45 to 50 miles an hour, but it's got a wide swath of tropical moisture with it, and that tropical moisture interacts in a certain way, means that the air is more unstable, and you can get some severe weather with it, along with the heavy rains. And some of the rains are going to cause some flooding, and certainly nothing out of the ordinary as far as tropical storms go, but certainly not everyday weather in this part of the country. And something you can see coming from, as on the other night talking about. What's interesting is, again, that parallel to what happened back in 1957, and we saw it in 72 and 82, where Gulf storms developed after a lot of rain in the spring around here. Even 2015, there was a lot of rain in the spring, and you had Bill that went into Texas. And there is a correlation with a lot of this stuff that goes on, but so that it gives us a big advantage. Right out of the front of our hurricane forecast, we said we're worried that the Gulf is going to see a June storm, the Northwest Gulf, and there it is. But getting back to that, getting back to where we are now, here it comes. It's not anything that's a powerful hurricane. It's not going to be like Ike. Or anything
That's
like
good.
that.
And you said winds could be 40 miles an hour. We're looking at 2 to 4.
Yeah, we could get gusts of 40. And what the other thing? I mean, it's a severe weather. I always worry about with these things because it gets very unstable, and you can start when these things are spinning down. A lot of times, the entrainment, believe it or not, the entrainment of dry air into these systems, while there's so much warm, moist tropical air around, provides some of the ingredients for the difference in temperatures that will develop that can create severe weather. So there's quite a bit of concern about that too. And again, the time of this is tomorrow into Friday. And by the way, get ready. There is going to be one heck of a cool shot of air coming next week. To a point
so that's what you promised. So when you say a cool shot of air, we're in Shreveport, but the audience is all over the Arklatex, Texas, Arkansas, and I think even to Monroe. Now, let me ask you about this storm, though. Is it really going more towards Monroe, Louisiana, or is it coming right through Shreveport, Louisiana?
Well, no, the center's going to pass very close to us, but it's just a real broad system. There's no real intensity at the center. It's all spread out. So Shreveport, the Arklatex, and on toward Monroe, the Duck Dynasty area over there.
That's right, Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, I always want to get on that show somehow or the other. I feel I'm the Uncle Si of weather.
Yeah, you are. I've heard people say that about you, the Uncle Si of weather. So mostly it's going to be a lot of rain starting, I guess, around noonish tomorrow, and then we should be prepared.
It's probably going to get in there earlier than that, but it's kind of funny when you called. I mean, I have a general idea. I don't have the exact. I know it's coming through the Arklatex, but I don't have the exact timing. I will tell you this: that you're going to have to keep an eye in the sky and an ear to 71 keel for updates on the severe weather threat, because I think that's going to be the case tomorrow and on into tomorrow night.
All righty. And so next week you're promising what kind of temperatures when you say cool?
Well, I think you could have record lows there, perhaps Tuesday, Wednesday morning, which I guess are down the low to mid-60s. I haven't checked the records out exactly. And then maybe a couple of days where you shut your air conditioner off completely and
That'd
you throw
be
open the windows.
amazing. Well, that would make everyone here in the studio happy. It's already been 90 degrees and hot
Yeah,
and
but
blistering.
to put it in perspective, this has been a cool spring so far here. I mean, a Little Rock hit 90. I think it was the fifth latest on record to hit 90. It's supposed to get hot here, right? So it's actually been a little bit cooler than normal. Now, it's hard to get temperatures more than 2 or 3 degrees above normal. Hard to have them more than 2 to 3 degrees below normal in the summertime. So this air mass coming in, where we may get a couple of days or 7, 8 below normal, and it's going to feel like it does sometimes in April and May here.
Well, it's going to be good. Well, we're on with Joe Bastardi from weatherbell.com. Joe, real quick, we can't let you go without just kind of dispelling all the myths, because they're going to try to connect this to global warming. Arizona is experiencing a lot of heat, and they're blaming that on global warming. I mean, everything's...
Oh, for goodness sake. You know what? You could blame it just as easily on the fact that the sky is much brighter now. By that I mean we've cut out all the sulfur dioxide in the west, and the incoming radiation from the sun is stronger. It gets 2 degrees. I see this all the time, and they're frying in France too. There's French fries over there. I mean, they're having some record heat in France. But to counterweight that, we're going to watch it get nice and cold in the much of the central and eastern part of the United States. And I work in the energy industry. This is a huge bearish attack of cool that's coming for cooling degree days. And so, I mean, but the cold that's coming is either going to be explained by, well, look at how extreme it's going the other way, this isn't supposed to happen, or it's going to be ignored completely. I'm just sick of the whole thing. I really am. It's like this whole investigation into the president. It's not going to get any better.
There you go.
For every single,
There'll
be a dust devil in someone's backyard.
Thank you. Joe, you're amazing. We appreciate you. We've got a hard break coming up, but we'll be back at the end of this with the C.L. Bryant Show.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Happy Wednesday evening. This is the C.L. Bryant Show. As you can tell, I am not C.L. Bryant. I am Michelle filling in for him. He is in Texas on Freedom Works Business, kind of speaking to the troops, to the people each day this week. But on the phone with us now is one of our very close friends, Rose Tennant. She is the queen of Rose Unplugged. That is her daily radio show that emanates out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but you can listen to it anywhere in the world. Go to her website, www.roseunplugged.com, and hear Rose Tennant. And Rose, you've been in the talk radio business for 20 years. So do I hear a round of applause? Everyone clap in the studio. There you go.
Michelle, you have a great radio voice. It's amazing.
You're so funny. And don't. So
too.
I'm not going to be distracted by your compliments. So here we are,
Okay.
these two women Republicans that have to listen to all the talking heads. I mean, remember yesterday on Tuesday in the morning when the talking heads on MSNBC said, oh, she's going to lose. Handel's going to lose. You know, that congressional seat's going to go for the Dems. What happened in 24 hours?
Well, I mean, they had to believe that. I mean, they were spending upwards of $25 million. I mean, the Democrats on this campaign, money was coming in from everywhere except for the 6th district, basically, mostly from California. And they fully expected with all the money behind this. Now, it's funny because today the narrative is with the talking heads, well, this is one of the most expensive run elections ever. Yeah, because of the Democrat money, not because of Handel's money that was raised. $25 million. When I think about what we could have done with that money, what good could have been done, what we could have done for homeless or the veterans, or, you know, $25 million for a district that Ossoff didn't even live in. He didn't even live in that district. It's astounding to me. This, you know, and I'll tell you something out talking about the district, it's probably the least Trump-friendly Republican district in the country. In the entire country, it's the least friendly Republican district, and Trump-friendly anyway. Now, when Trump ran for office, that same district, he won that district last year by only 2 points. Karen Handler won the special House election by 5 percentage points. So that's
an increase.
Amazing.
Well, and
Yeah.
you know, the average American person wasn't even paying attention to these races. The one in Montana, you know, that one, that's funny because unfortunately it's very sad. And, you know, that the candidate, the congressional candidate in Montana actually punched a reporter. But somehow
he still won.
a violent anger management Republican is better than any Democrat. And I think the guy running against him was a musician going around with his daughter playing the guitar. But, you know, they keep saying, well, right? And, you know, and then this thing, actually the numbers look like it was $30 million. And there were all these celebrities from Hollywood coming there. And this is the district that Tom Price, who's the health secretary now, gave up,
Right.
which is a very conservative district. But there's a lot of crossover. And like you said, the president only won with 2%. So, you know, it's shocking, a waste of time. And like you said, and CL and I talked about this earlier, that $30 million, if you really are a person who cares about the poor and you care about the people in that district, why didn't you forego the waste of it on TV commercials and flying people in? Don't do rallies. Take the money and like you said, feed the poor. You know how many poor could have been served with that $30 million in that Atlanta area?
Yes. It's sad to think that they were willing to throw money at an election. That's how desperate they were for a win, because now we're 5 for 5. It was the most expensive U.S. House race on the record. And, you know, the interesting thing here, too, is that this was supposed to be a referendum on Trump, on conservative values. This was supposed to, this is going to be a statement against the Trump administration, and it wasn't that. It was. I mean, it was on our conservative agenda, and the conservative agenda won out. So, I mean, I think
It's a
that
huge win. It's huge. And there's people that are considered never Trumpers that are on Twitter that you and I are acquaintances with that live in that district.
Yeah.
And I think the big takeaway that we as Republicans have to learn is everybody got together to support that candidate. They don't have to agree on everything because we seem to fight and bite and devour one another. But when Republicans unite, they win every time. So I guess the next thing to ask, Rose, is doesn't this give the president the open door to do the things that the American people want, which is to overhaul the health care situation, to do tax cuts, to put a travel ban on North Korea, Rose? You and I are moms of millennials, people under 20, the age of that young man that died. Why were they allowed to travel to that country anyway?
Well, I know that's astounding in and of itself, and you and I both have children in that age range, as you said, and I think everyone was heartbroken, except for some of the liberals on the left, if you can believe it. They were calling him white privilege.
Yeah, they made jokes.
Yep. Isn't that horrible?
And they get away with it. I mean, they can do whatever. I'm going to keep you on, again for the next block because there's a million things to talk about, like the Bill Maher situation. And when we come back, we're going to have Karen Watson join us to talk about that because, Rose, if you would have said what Bill Maher said to Ben Sass, you would be out of a job right now.
Oh, my God. You're absolutely right. Yes, the thing is, though, we would never say that.
We would never say that, which
Not
that even,
years.
right. Well, and I've talked to a lot of black conservatives around the country, and they all said the same thing. The way that he said it sounds like he talks that way all the time. This wasn't.
Said the same. It just flowed right off of his tongue.
Yep.
There was no and there's a particular cuss word I like to use. I'm Italian. I sometimes use it, and I know there are oftentimes I'll kid around with my husband or son and say, oh my gosh, I got to be careful if that doesn't just flow right off my tongue because I'm so accustomed to using that word. Well, I immediately thought the same thing you did when he said that. That came too easily, and it's so typical, isn't it?
Right.
I think they accuse us of what they feel guilty about. I'm so convinced of that. I really am.
Oh, I know. And they're hypocrites, and yet he's still out there. There's nobody slapping him on the hand. There's no repentance. Yep. And I'm not a Ben Sass fan at all. So
not me either.
Take them both down at the same time. Let them all go. Well, so you're a Trump supporter. You were a big part of Trump winning Pennsylvania. What is your optimism for the future?
I think, and it's unfortunate that people really aren't focused on, or at least being told, how successful in 153 days Donald Trump has already been, and some of the great things that he's done for our country. Of course, everybody points to the Supreme Court nomination, but there's more than that. One of the first things he did was get rid of TPP, which that was one of the things I was most outraged over. It was second only to the Iran deal, and I still believe something will happen there. I like what he's been doing for the veterans. I like what he's been doing for law enforcement. He passed two pieces of legislation a couple of weeks ago that further protects law enforcement, and there's a separate piece of legislation for our veterans. And then they are also working on a project right now that will make sure that all of the veterans' records, that everybody is able to easily access them.
Hold on for just a moment. We're coming up to a break, and then we're going to talk more about the law enforcement because that went right under the radar to most of the mainstream media. This is Michelle, and I'm on with Rose Tennant, and we will be joined after the break with Karen Watson. Welcome back to the CL Bryant Show. This is Michelle filling in for CL. We have a special guest in the studio and a special guest on the phone. We've got Karen Watson with us, who's going to join in this segment. Karen is a lifelong Republican. She's an author of several books at this point. The first one was called Being Black and Republican in the Age of Obama.
Yes.
She's a former bank vice president, loan officer, etc., extraordinaire. And we're going to be having Rose Tennant stay on the phone with us from Rose Unplugged. And we just want to kind of talk about, the president, being a Republican woman. Karen travels, Rose. She travels around the country speaking to the base, really. Have you been to Pittsburgh, Karen?
I have not been to Pittsburgh. I'd love to go there. I have not been.
We have to have you here.
Yes, that would be awesome.
We would love to. I'll have you on the show. That'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great.
Yes.
So, Karen, we were just talking. I just have to throw this out there because the president did do some amazing things for law enforcement, signed them into law a couple weeks ago, and yet none of the mainstream media covered that.
Of course
Why
not.
do you guys think that is?
Well, I think the mainstream media is still in shock over the 2016 election. And, I mean, they are in deep shock. They believed that Hillary was entitled because they are the party of entitlement, and they believe that Hillary was entitled to win an election that she didn't earn, and they are still not over it. And they don't know how to move forward, as we used to say in the banking industry, and go to a new chapter.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, Karen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. And Karen.
And also, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Rose.
I was going to say that the left and the media, I mean, really there's no distinction now between the two, but the left and the media absolutely despises nationalism. These are progressives. They don't like the idea of America first and that whole patriotic national sense, that we got from the Trump campaign. And they don't like it. They despise it, in fact.
Well, it goes against their major narrative, which is because that's what socialism is. I mean, they are all about this one world, this globalism that has America dead last, that would accept someone going around and apologizing for America as if we have not done some amazing things internationally. They don't have America in their heart. And even the American flag offends them. So I wish they would find their own Nina, their Pinta, and their own Santa Maria and go find a place where they can recreate this, these ideas that they want.
Well, there is a place. It's called Europe.
Well,
go there now.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so funny, too. Saudi Arabia, we had a terrorism expert on, and he's an expert on Saudi Arabia. And, as women, Rose, women cannot drive in Saudi Arabia. They are our ally. People go to Dubai. I mean, I have friends that go to Dubai. Women cannot drive.
No.
We never talk about that. The mainstream media never talks about the reality of what Sharia law is like when you implement it. And, it's fascinating to me.
Well, because it's not about women's rights. It's not about black rights. It's not about Hispanic rights. It's about divide and conquer. And that has been the goal of the left for a very, very long time. This party, the party of the left, unfortunately, is the old Communist Party. Because if you were to run on the campaign of ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you could do for your country, in today's world, people would say that is a Tea Party statement.
Right, and that's John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy.
Exactly.
So that shows how far left they have come. When I was growing up, and not too long ago, we used to say that there's no such thing as a free lunch, that free is very expensive, that if you work hard, you dream big, you do the right things, you can make it in this country. Now, that's almost a racist statement to say. This is ridiculous. And unfortunately...
I'm so concerned for our children. I'm concerned for the next generation because, they have gone so over the top with their hatred of this country, with their hatred for all things American, all things, patriotic. There's such a hatred, a vitriol there. We saw it after the shooting of the Republicans at the
Actually, it's
baseball field.
Congressman Steve Scalise from Louisiana.
Oh, that's
And Rose,
right.
they're being
That's
taught to
right.
hate. And that's, children are not coming out of the womb hating this country. If you know the history of this
Right.
country, if you understand the greatness and the exceptionalism of America, how could you hate it? It's like hating Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? This
Right.
It's an amazing nation. We've done amazing things. This is the nation that freed its own slaves. I mean, this is a nation that has paid the price for life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice for so many, not just within our boundaries, but outside. So, and we have welcomed people into our borders legally to come and participate in the glory of America. And if you know the history, you couldn't do the things that they're doing. But that's the reason why I'm in Louisiana. I'm from Texas, and I love Louisiana, but I am a proud Texan. But the things that are happening here, they're tearing down monuments here because they want to change
Yeah.
history. That's ridiculous.
Well, they're tearing down monuments everywhere now.
Not in Texas.
Well, I was just going to say, there you go, girl. Give me 5. Not in
All right,
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. Well, that is true. And that's where CL is this week, Rose. And he's telling me, Michelle, it's crazy how lathered up the crowds have been every night. They're all getting behind Trump. All of them, whatever part, whoever they were for before, everybody's getting behind the president's agenda. And Rose, is it just me, or is the president's agenda the people's agenda? Have you ever seen a guy that is more concerned with what the people want and working for the people than President Trump?
Well, that's a good. You and I have talked about this before, and I think we truly believe at this point that the only reason that he would even run was because he loved the country so much, and he felt like there were so many problems that he could fix. He is not an ideologue. This is a man who's just looking at it like a businessman would look at his company and say, "Wait a minute, this isn't running the way I thought it would. This isn't the running it's supposed to run. I'm going to get in here, figure it out, and fix it." And I really believe that's his attitude. And I also think I think he really loves his family. I think he cares about his children and their children's future. And I think he's doing this for that. He said once he got in, that he had no idea just how, exhausting this would be but I believe he truly wanted to do this because he loves this country. And
I agree.
Loves this country.
And I think it's that draining of the swamp. And I think we, the people, which I consider you and I and Karen that, we're not embedded politicians. Draining that swamp is Republicans and Democrats. It's people that have been there for 30 years and tell you this is the way it's going to be and have institutionalized it. Well, we appreciate you, Rose Tennant, roseunplug.com.
Karen, it was fun.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back again. We love you. Everyone go to roseunplug.com and listen and download her past shows.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Bye, ladies. It was fun.
Bye, Rose.
Bye, Karen.
And we will be back with more with Karen Watson.
I come from the water. I come from the water. I come from the water, yeah.
We're back at the CL Bryant Show. I'm here with Karen Watson, all the way from Dallas, Texas. She flew in on her private jet today. Oh, okay, maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Well, we're just so glad you're here. So you're an author.
Yes.
You're a businesswoman.
Yes.
And actually, you were the first black person, this was in the newspaper, the first black person to own a home in Highland Park in Dallas.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, and you know, the cool thing about you, and I've known you for a while,
Yes.
you're a person, you're not a skin color.
No.
And isn't that kind of like what Martin Luther King said?
Absolutely. You know, to be able to be judged by the content of your character instead of the color of your skin really is an American dream. And I am so thankful that Martin Luther King Jr. was able to encapsulate that in that amazing speech, and we've come very far from that. Now we judge everything based off on color, ethnicity, all the things that America really
Well, I
doesn't
have so
stand
many
for.
questions for you, Karen.
Yeah.
One of them, let's talk about that. So many things right now in the news are about separating out the races. So now, just a commentator on the news said there's not enough black people deciding the replace and repeal of Obamacare. And the thing about the replace and repeal is being decided by elected officials. He said there's too many white males. Okay, well, those are congressmen and senators, and they were elected. It's this quota system that they're like, no, there's not enough black people on that board, and there's not enough black people graduating. What does this even mean?
It's just a way to divide. We, unfortunately, as a nation, are very uncomfortable with a narrative about race. And that's unfortunate because, you know, as you know, my books are about race and politics. So I go around the country talking about those things because they are light topics, and they should be. If you understand the history of this country, you have to understand that it's very complicated. I mean, we did have slavery in this country, and that's a reality. And slavery was an evil, brutal, disgusting industry. But that industry came to a halt and was ended on the lives of almost 1 million Americans who fought for that, who fought to end that horrible system. And those Americans that fought for abolition were the Republican Party. And no one wants to talk about that. I mean, many people don't even realize that Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. They don't even realize that the KKK was considered a paramilitary arm of the Democrat Party. We don't know our history, and we have a complicated history, but we don't judge people off of things that happened in the past. We need to judge people off of what's happening right now. And
well, let's do this. That's one of your books. So
Yeah.
the first book was Being Black and Republican in the Age of Obama. That came out before the 2012 election.
yes,
Because there you were, black and Republican, but you go in the gym in Dallas and Highland Park, and people assume that you're a Democrat. Women
Yes.
would talk to you about voting for Hillary.
yeah. At the time, they were talking about voting.
For Obama, but this time they talked to you. They just assumed you were a Hillary supporter.
Exactly.
Now, your next book was called
How the Democrats stole the black vote and how the Republicans can win it back. And it's all about knowing the truth.
and that was that history that you're
Yeah.
talking about. And I have to be honest, you've helped me a great deal understanding Republicanism. You've been a Republican since 1984.
Yeah, even before I was old enough to vote, I was a Republican because I met Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan came to the Dallas RNC convention to be nominated with Bush in 1984. And having met him, it really got me to see what the party is all about. And Reagan was an amazing ambassador for this party. And I got it. I saw a man who didn't judge me by the color of my skin or my gender, but that looked at me as an American.
And as a person with abilities and talents.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, and these may sound like dumb questions, but what did you think about, I guess it's Harvard that wanted to have a separate graduation ceremony for the students who are black?
It's ridiculous.
Is that exactly the opposite of what Martin Luther King was talking about?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, Rosa Parks sitting on the back of the bus. What would Rosa Parks have said to those students graduating?
I think it's sad. And I think it goes to show that people can graduate from Harvard and still not be educated. Because how can you be educated on really race relations and you want to be segregated. You know, that was one of the battles of the civil rights movement, was to desegregate, that we are Americans, that we're not these things that divide us. We have a lot more in common than we have that are different. And I'm a Black American. I'm a Texan. I'm a Christian before I'm anything. We need to come together on the things that unite us. I mean, our first name is United States. So the things that
From the
divide
many
us,
one, and
yeah,
that's one of CL's favorite
yeah.
things to say. And it's not that we, I'm second generation American. All of my grandparents spoke foreign languages, and they never told me to, they didn't teach me any of this prejudice. They came here because they wanted to, and they wanted to give me this opportunity to be an American. I still have cultural things that I like to do.
Yeah.
But nobody has told us we can't have that. And it's this divisive thing, which you've pointed out to me since 2012, and how we can curtail that. The movie industry, it grates on me when I hear them say there's not enough movie roles for Black actors, as if, you're, again, based on your color skin, not enough Black actors nominated for Academy Awards. Oh my gosh. So quota systems there. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the Academy Awards is a ridiculous thing in the first place. It's a closed system, and why actors need an award, good grief. I mean, I think it just gives them
You don't
an
think
excuse.
that big fat paycheck for standing?
Yeah. I think,
They're the
cry
ones
no
who donated
crocodile
that 30
tears for
million.
that.
Yeah.
So no crocodile tears. I always tell people the first Republican president was killed by an actor, and actors have been trying to keep on doing the same thing ever since. When it
Well,
comes,
that was good. First Republican president was killed by an actor.
John Wilkes
Whoa.
Booth was an actor. I mean, but the whole thing is that we have got to stop the silliness. And most actors don't live in a reality. They play something different on TV and film, and they play something different in life. I mean, it's not one that's based in reality. They don't get up to work and at 8 o'clock and come home at 6, and they're not. It's a different.
Well, and
reality.
it's a different kind of lifestyle, and we need to talk. You've been traveling, so there's a lot of hope in your message too. But we need to get into the nitty gritty of it, because I don't think that they mean to be malicious. I just
No.
think, Karen, that they're naive and
Uneducated.
ignorant about the truth, like you said. We'll be back after this, and let me give you the phone number. You can call and ask Karen questions. 318-320-5335. 318-320-5335. We are here at the CL Bryant Show, just taking care of business with Bachman. With Karen Watson here in the studio. If you have questions for Karen, she's a lifelong Republican, author of the book "Being Black and Republican in the Age of Obama." Call 318-320-5335. 318-320-5335. We've got a caller on the line. Stephen, are you there?
I'm here.
Great. Well, you're on with Michelle and Karen.
Hey,
Hi,
Stephen.
Karen.
Hey.
I had a question. So I just got to listen for a couple of minutes. So correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you say is we are a colorblind society, and we no longer, when I say we, the government no longer needs to monitor economic decisions that might be based on race, or criminal justice decisions that are based on race, or monitor any other government policies that might discriminate based on race. We need to throw all that away.
Well, Stephen, thanks so much for calling in, but no, you didn't hear me say any of that.
Okay, so
what I am saying is, first off, if you go back to economic viability for Black Americans, you will find that history just proves that we were more viable 50 years ago than we are today. Look at this time period called the Black Wall Street, which was going on in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm from Texas, and Oklahoma is a neighboring state. Look what was happening right there. Also find out what was going on in Florida with the Black community. But Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black community had hospitals, they had airports, they had bus stations, they had grocery stores, and then of course they had the traditional lawyers and doctors. But it was incredible the things that they were doing there, and that was with beyond all this regulation. There have been a lot of harms that have happened to Black America because of overregulation and because of the entitlement era that was pushed by my Texas guy, LBJ. So the Great Society was not really meant to be the Great Society, and I hate that because I love Texas, and I hate that LBJ was from Texas, but there are a lot of damages that have happened with a lot of the oversight. I strongly believe that if you get people back to doing what they do best and you get government out the way, it is proven that not just Black Americans, but most Americans prosper under a more of a laissez-faire type society. But no, don't always assume that wait, Stephen. No, wait, Stephen, no, I'm not going to let you talk over me. So, but let me tell you what I do. No, Stephen, I already told you I'm not going to let you talk over me because remember, I'm on the phone, so and I got the mic, so I'm going to tell you what I know to be the truth because unfortunately people don't hear it enough. And what we need to do is get back to the truth. And the truth is that history has proven that not just Black Americans, but multiple types of people who've come over here with a dream, worked hard, have been able to succeed, and now just to even open up a lemonade stand in certain areas, you have to have 12 different permits. So the opportunities for people to succeed under entrepreneurship, which was the majority of where Black wealth comes from. When you look at the billionaires who are Black now, the Oprah Winfreys, the Johnsons, those people really came through from a sense of ownership of their own business and their own brand. So it's very complicated, but it's not so complicated that we can't understand it. And most people do not succeed under heavy government restrictions. And most government restrictions have ceilings for income and certain grading systems, and they're more of a tenure based instead of a meritocracy. I mean, I could go on and on and on, which is the reason why when I was, you can say something after I finish saying something, because I know you can hear a lot of stuff on MSNBC and CNN and all the things that want to apologize for Black America. Black America doesn't need to be apologized for. If we can get our head together, we can work hard and do just what anybody else can. There's a movie that came out that if you haven't seen it, I hope you do go and see it and rent it. It's called Hidden Figures. I have no stake in this movie. I'm no shareholder in this at all, but what it showed is that you can have 3 Black women during the 60s who could come together, work at NASA, and help put a man on the moon. If we could do that back 50 years ago, we could do a whole lot more today if we get our heads
all
together.
of these regulations and before. Stephen, go ahead.
Oh, too bad they weren't given credit back then. So,
what do you mean they weren't given credit? Now,
Oh,
let's be honest about this movie. Now, Karen, there are things about the movie. The women who were in the movie, the oldest woman is still alive, said that
Yeah.
wasn't accurate. They actually took the movie and kind of twisted it to add
Well,
elements
you
of
got to bring
racism.
racism is real. Now, Stephen, if you're asking if racism is real, I'll tell you racism is real. If that's if that's the question, does racism exist? Yes, racism exists. Racism
So how many billionaires they had in the 1950s that were black?
First of all, I'm a numbers person. Remember, I was vice president of a bank, so it's not the billionaires today, or it's a different system because money appreciates, and sometimes it depreciates. A billion today is not the same as it was back in 50 years ago, because you could be extremely wealthy on $1 million, and today that's almost just middle class. So
I'll agree with one thing. Back 50, 60 years ago, yes, the racists were in the Democratic Party.
no, that's not true.
That's what they were. A lot of
No, stop watching
you know what-
MSNBC.
you know what it is?
No,
You know
no,
what
I'm
it
not. No,
means?
I've heard too much of the lies. No, I
You
don't.
know
I
what
want
it
to.
means?
No.
They got out of the Democratic Party and they're now sitting in the Republican Party.
Okay, I really want to. The reason I'm very adamant about correcting mistruths is because they last and they change people's ideas. Black Americans were voting Republican strongly all the way up until the Great Depression, when everybody switched over.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
I'm only telling the truth. I mean, this is just what it is. It's like saying today is Wednesday in Louisiana. It is, or it isn't. It is. So it's not something to be. It's not a veritas issue. The problem is,
the racists moved over to the Republican Party.
who moved over to the Republican Party?
The racists moved to the Republican Party.
Okay, and I know they tell you that.
They don't tell me that. I can see it.
Okay, you can see that. Why do you say that?
The way they speak, the way they talk, they don't think there's no racism going on in America. Let me give you an example. You remember 10 years ago, everybody talked about personality testing? And it was being used for people to get jobs? You know the main reason now you don't hear about it? The multi-billion-dollar industry has almost been shut down? Because it's been proven it was used to discriminate on people based on race.
Well, see, this is what my thing is, Stephen. I want people to be able to set up their own businesses and create their own empires, and I bet they weren't doing that at Oprah's company. So the thing is that if someone wants to set up house their way, go for it. I can set up my own house. I can build my own system. I can build my own country. I can build my own, Madam C.J. Walker.
I was just going to talk. I'm just looking her up. Madam C.J. Walker, from Louisiana, the first female millionaire, and she was black.
That's right. The first
Okay, we finally got one.
This was back in the 1800s, Stephen.
Okay.
This is Louisiana history.
But I want to mention this because, first off, this is how lies become truth to people. Madam C.J. Walker, her company is still in existence today out of New York. This woman was the first, not just black American, not just American, the first woman self-made millionaire in the world. Happens to be black. This happened in the 30s.
I think it's in the 1800s.
I think she was born in the 1800s.
All right, let's talk about today.
She died in
Do you think
1919.
it's easy for a black person to go get a business loan at a bank to become an entrepreneur?
Stephen, are you trying to tell me that you think that they're not able to get a loan because of their skin color? You just said something about the criminal justice system also, because you're trying to say that the criminal justice system in America in 2017, that people take in consideration your skin color or your criminal behavior. You're insulting all of our intelligence by saying that, Stephen.
Well, why did we just pass all those new rules in Louisiana? Why do you think we just did that in the criminal justice system? Because it doesn't exist?
Stephen, our Attorney General...
You're very upset about something, but the thing is I wish you would... All I'm saying is, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. If you know the truth, you realize... Well, Stephen, wait. Stephen, if you know the truth shall set you free. Just learn what the truth is. Stop watching MSNBC, NBC.
Tune in. Go to
CNN.
Karen's website,
Buy my
GOP
book,
Buzz.
for Pete's sake, and learn.
Thank you, Stephen. We'll be back after the break.
Bye.
We are right in the storm out here tonight, Karen Watson. Man, there was a dust up here just a few minutes ago, but I think you got your facts out there.
Yeah.
I'm joined in the studio with one of my very close friends, author, extraordinaire businesswoman, first book,
Being Black and Republican in the Age of Obama.
second book,
How Democrats stole the black vote and how Republicans can win it back.
and the third book.
Jackass, the true story of the Democrat Party.
Whoa, and she said that on the air. I think that is a bad word. So we have a caller. Denny, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
You have a question. Go ahead and let us know what it is.
I really don't have a question. What I'd like to know is how many people in your listening audience have actually read every word in the Second Amendment?
All right.
And
That's a good question.
If you have, I would like to know if you see anything out there which pertains to the possession and purchase of ammunition for said arms.
All right. Thank you.
It is my belief
All right.
that it is my belief that they will never be able to take all the arms that we possess. But what they can do is outlaw the manufacturing, distribution, and possession of said firearms.
All right. Well, thank you, Denny. We appreciate you listening. Karen, do you want to weigh in on that?
I don't suspect that anyone is going, even Bernie Sanders, socialist,
Even Bernie, who doesn't like
Bernie
Christians.
Sanders, who has a plethora of problems, is for gun rights. So we're good on that.
There you go. So you
We're
don't
good.
think that they, and you know, we're neither of us constitutional experts, but it doesn't distinguish that. And we can ask our constitutional
Yeah.
experts the next time they're on. We've got another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
And what's your name?
This is Patrick Harrington. How y'all doing, Michelle and Karen?
Hey,
Oh,
Patrick, how are
Harrington,
you?
the young upcoming Republican. He just recently ran for state representative.
Yes,
You're
very
an
proud of
attorney.
him.
And you're
I am, and I love hearing what Karen's had to say this evening. And I'm actually kind of interested just from, I went to Southern University Law Center, first white president of historically black college. And so I know Karen wrote a book on how the Republicans can win the black vote. And I was wondering if she can kind of expound upon that and kind of share
Well, I want to
insight
just
on that.
expound upon something you just brushed over, which was something I was impressed with. You are the first white student body president at a historically black college at the law school, Southern University Law School. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, it's not impressive, Karen.
That is so impressive. I mean, and it shows that we can break down these ridiculous barriers, and I think that is so important. And I congratulate you for being able to do that and
Not
that should
see
be
color
celebrated.
and just deal
Yeah.
with people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what this is supposed to be about.
And
Right,
just
it-
knowing the history. And as you know, Patrick, that the majority of the so-called HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, were started during the Reconstruction period and were started mostly by Republicans. And so, I mean, they're just, if we know our history, it kind of peels away all the divisions and the silliness
Right.
that we have gotten into, because we are just one nation.
Right.
One
and
nation.
And
Yeah.
for me, in my personal experience, I know there was a colorblind statement earlier. For me, it's not even really about being colorblind. It's really about appreciating the individual and seeing each person for who they are and not just block them in like you were talking about earlier and saying, okay, these are black people, these are these types of people, and seeing the individual and playing getting the principles to apply to their individual lives and seeing that, hey, this makes sense. I
Well,
agree with that.
And, you know,
Right,
Patrick,
what's their character?
you're an attorney,
Right.
and I know that you're acting as a public defender right now. So I really want to bring up this criminal justice statement that Stephen made. In Louisiana, we have the highest incarceration rate and return rate. But do you think that the law is colorblind, or do you think that the law in Louisiana sees color?
If you read the law, there is no mention of race in it. Now, when it comes to what groups are affected, I think it goes back to what you said earlier about, criminal behavior and, if you're breaking the law, then you're most likely going to be caught and you'll go through the system, so to speak. But in terms of improving it, I think criminal justice reform, there is a good balance in, punishment, but also rehabilitation and getting people back out and contributing to society.
Well, you know what, Patrick? We're coming up to a break. We're going to have you on as a guest, young man. You're remarkable.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
And we'll be back after this break, and we're going to bring in a young woman, Megan Ellis, who's a new friend of Karen Watson's.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
We're back on the C.L. Bryant Show. We've been riding the storm out in the studio. It's been stormy in here. I've got my good friend, Karen Watson, author, public speaker, Republican, and movie maker.
Yes.
And right now on the phone, though, we have a new friend of ours, Richard Fisher. Are you there, Richard?
Yes, I am.
Richard, you're a local attorney here in Shreveport, and you are a black Republican man, is what you've been telling us.
Since the age of Reagan.
Just like Karen.
Yes. As a black Republican, you have to fight a man think that the Democrats have been able to brainwash black Americans. Democrats love to say they're here to help poor people. And you ask them, well, how are they doing that? The program that they've invented do not help poor people. Ms. Lawson referred to the fact about AFDC, which is designed by the Democrats. It's called Aid for Families with Dependent Children. It sounds good in theory, except here's the problem. One of the provisions of AFDC was there cannot be a man in the household. This
Absolutely.
was deliberately put into the law.
Yeah.
So what happened with this? In order to receive benefits from the government, you couldn't have a man in the household. But what you could do is, the more children you have, the more benefits you would get.
Now,
So
you
what
live in
happened with-
Shreveport, Richard.
Yes,
so
I
let's
do.
bring this like really close to home. So this is something you've seen personally, where you're saying that what LBJ did with the new, the Great Society was actually regulated things that pushed men out of the home. And it's not just for the black community. It's anybody who is going to be on welfare, but it hit the black community the hardest.
Definitely. Black illegitimate birth rate skyrocketed after AFDC went into effect.
Exactly.
The illegitimacy rate among black children in the 50s and 60s was comparable to the white race. There wasn't that many illegitimate children. Now, 80% of all black kids do not come from a nuclear family, and that is not something that's productive for any race.
It's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable model. You can't have children being raised in a household and expect them to function well in society when they don't have support of a mother and a father in that same household. And that's just, correct. That's just the truth on what it is. And that's what's great about math. Math is going to be 1 + 1 = 2, no matter the color of your skin who says it. And that's what's happening. So we have a lot of these children who are being raised in unsustainable and look, there are wonderful single parent homes, but the model is not sustainable. It's like a three-legged stool. The likelihood is that it's going to fall. It's like playing in traffic. You may not get hit, but you sure are risking it. And that's what happens when children are being raised without the benefit of both parents.
So
and that is pandemic and the African American community, and that is what's hurting Black America most. What's hurting Black America more than anything
Than the
else,
monuments?
Than the monuments, exactly. What's hurting Black America more than those silly things are the breakdown of the family. And see, the thing is that they knew this. If you go back and you study history, you look at this thing called social engineering. We don't really talk about that too much, but you go back and you look at these social engineers like B.F. Skinner and all these people who are trying to craft society and even Marxism, and you will see this is kind of all a part of it. And yeah, and just like the Tuskegee experiment, which went awry, those same experiments were tested again with the desocialism of Black families and removing the male from the housing structure and breaking down that nucleus, and we have what we have today.
But any family can sustain not having both parents in the home.
Oh,
it isn't even just but because of the welfare and the way it was set up. But Richard, because we just have a short time, I want to talk about this criminal justice thing because that just grates on me. You're in Louisiana. Do you think that it's people committing crimes, it's based on their skin color or based on their committing the crimes?
I was telling Ms. Lawson about the great myth that there's this racist criminal justice system that goes around locking up black men disproportionate to white. The liberals love to cite the fact that the incarceration rate among black men, I think it's like about 80% in prison, but they forget to admit one particular thing, too. The black men who are in prison, by and large, are committing crimes against other black people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not white men who are raping white women. It's not black Klan women who's shooting black youth in Chicago and Detroit.
And New Orleans.
And New Orleans. The majority of black cities in this country have an exceptionally high crime rate, but it's not whites who are committing crimes. It's blacks committing crimes against blacks. And let's take it one step further. I was telling Ms. Lawson. You have a black young man who breaks into your home, rapes you, kills you, whatever. He's put into the criminal justice system. Well, it's not an all-white jury. It's not a white racist judge who's going to try him. You have black police officers. You have black detectives.
Black chief of police. We have black mayors.
Oh, it gets better. You have black lawyer, defense lawyers, and you have black judges.
You know what? We hear the music, Richard. We're going to have you back on. Unfortunately, we are at a break right now. Richard Fisher, attorney in Shreveport. Thank you so much for calling in.
Black and conservative. Thank you, Richard.
In Shreveport.
And proud.
Yay!
And proud.
Just listening to that beautiful music there from Eric Clapton. We've got a real quick caller before we introduce our next guest. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and your name is Ben?
Yes.
And you wanted to say something to Richard, our last caller. He touched us all. Go ahead, real quick.
I just wanted to compliment him and to say how brave I think he was to call it as it is. That took bravery, and I applaud him. I think like he does, and I agree with everything he said.
Ben, thank you so much for saying that. I think that exactly what you said is so true, and that's just what we need. We need more
Conversation, people speaking up and just kind of neutralizing things. Thank you so much for calling, Ben, and thank you for listening.
The thing that people have to remember is this: the change must come from within their own culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true, Ben. I mean, seriously, you've
Nobody
inspired
can
us
do it
all.
for 'em.
That's right. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, we have somebody special in the studio. This is her first time to be here, Megan Ellis. She is a chef. She started her own business. She started a business called Prepped Up Meals here in the Arklatex. And Megan, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Megan, to start right off, do you have a website or someplace so they can start Googling while we're talking?
Yeah, absolutely. One, you can visit our Facebook page, which shows a lot of really cool stuff, everything that we do during the day, the week, some funny little videos. But yeah, you can always go to preppedupmeals.com or our Instagram. Our Instagram shows little funny videos. We do like cooking stuff. We had a live video earlier. And then you can always, check out.
So you're a chef, you're a business owner, you're very young, you're a millennial. We'll just say that you're under 30.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your business model and as a woman, just venturing out there in this small business.
Well, I kind of, I didn't go to school to be a chef, but by trade, I had a very holistic style background, which is more of an extremist, which I'm trying to bring out with, a little bit of balance of everywhere. There's a lot going on in the fitness community that, people don't know about. And it's all about health and wellness and being aware of your body and bringing that to the community and it be, not just like an amenity, but something, more of a necessity.
Well, like you make the meals. So there's a lot of people that are getting health conscious, but they don't know how to cook.
Right.
And you've actually brought food into the studio tonight, some blueberry pancakes. I mean, a lot of people think that if you're dieting,
so good, girl,
you can't eat pancakes, but you've made a healthy blueberry pancake.
Right, exactly. So what I do is I take the, like say, for instance, gumbo. It's Louisiana favorite or fried chicken, for example.
You make healthy fried chicken?
It's not fried.
Okay.
Well,
fried light.
But it tastes fried.
It's baked in panko, no flour.
They say don't trust a skinny chef, but
it's lies.
I know. I was about to say,
I have that in my kitchen, actually.
Fabulous. Yeah.
But going through this life, being health conscious and being aware of my body growing up, and it's not about necessarily what you look like; it's about how you feel, and that's kind of what was instilled in me growing up. We went to the Good Life health food store. That's where we got everything, and then that being instilled in me, that planting that seed, and me kind of turning away from that, growing up saying, I want Doritos or ramen noodles, and luckily
you don't eat those anymore.
No,
they're not in your prepped up meals.
Those actually were not allowed in my household growing up. So
not in mine either.
But it was instilled in me, and this is kind of what I'm trying to give back to the community. As I grew up, I realized that this was a blessing more so than anything. And
it's
so,
knowing how to prepare healthy food. So you do this, your business is that you prepare the food, they can buy the food from you already prepared. That's going to be a certain calorie count, nutrition, because you're very into nutrition. You're creative. You create delicious things like you're talking about gumbo. But do you also teach them? I mean, how to do this for themselves? Like, what's the scope of prepped up meals?
So basically, it's hard to kind of train a client into how to eat. And so, we never say, okay, go full force into this. You're going to buy a month's worth. You're going to, eat 42 meals in the week. Order 42 meals because you're going to eat 6 or 7 times a day. you
That's
go in
ridiculous,
full,
yeah.
well, I do that, but it's an extreme, and so you teach in like little bitty ways, little steps, one thing at a time. Get used to the way that the portions are, because your body, you have to get used to the way the portions are. Eat small amounts a day, multiple times a day, and go on from there. And we have a very successful, repetitive clientele base, and we have people that have been with us since day one, and here we
they've
are on
lost
our
the
second
weight.
year.
They're
Yes.
healthier. So it's not just to be skinny, it's to be healthier. I know that our audience is primarily male, primarily overweight, and over, 35, 40. I know some of them, and they're listening right now, and they're overweight.
We're imagining you guys.
Yes, we can see them. We have their pictures up here. So
We can see all you viewers.
preppedupmeals.com. They can
Right.
go there. They can check it out right now. They can get in touch with you. You're able to
Right.
feed all of the Arklatex.
Exactly. So also you can go to the website, and then it'll say, how do I start, or I want to start, and you basically fill out the form, and it's a day-to-day type deal, like what you do, what time you wake up to what time you go to bed, very detailed report, which gives me a better idea on how to set you up and what exactly we
So
need
it's
to do.
personalized. You're like
Yeah,
custom
absolutely.
making this meal plan because of what you know about nutrition and your talent as a chef, and you're kind of combining your nutrition and your talent, and you're helping them.
Right. And so we have that to where we can specialize in whatever you need us to specialize in, basically. But, anybody who wants to come in and say, hey, I just want 5 meals for the week, I need lunches.
Because
we have that as
even
well.
if they don't do like all day this 6 little tiny meals, but even if they do a little bit, it's going to
Right.
help somewhat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a huge convenience factor, and it's easy. It's in the fridge. You pop it open, microwave it for a minute. Our containers are BPA free, so you also have no dishes.
So Megan Ellis, preppedupmeals.com. And do you have testimonials up on that website?
Yes, ma'am. We actually have another one we're writing up pretty soon.
Perfect. And that's lots of pictures too. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of this segment. Megan Ellis, preppedupmeals.com. Go there and get skinny today.
She gives them quite a battle, all that they can handle.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Just listening to some Leonard Skinner there. That's Saturday Night Special. Nobody in the studio knew that except me. So we just have a few minutes to close out the show. We've got Karen Watson here, but Megan Ellis, preppedupmeals.com. Tell us how our audience can benefit real quick from your business.
Okay, in a nutshell, if you have any health issues, if you're having high cholesterol problems, if you are on kidney dialysis, if you have diabetes, these are all things that we can accommodate to. We don't add salt to any of our food. We use low sodium products, if at all. No preservatives, nothing from a can, non-GMO, gluten-free. If you're into the ketone diet thing, we do that as well. Literally anything that you can possibly think of, come at us. We will help you out.
And
Also,
they can wade into it. It doesn't have to be some drastic thing.
Absolutely.
Do it before the doctor tells you that you have to do it. So it's preppedupmeals.com and go there today. Thank you, Megan. You'll be back. You'll be
absolutely.
back.
I enjoy
and you're
that.
going to be on our app. So we're going to have a link to the CL Bryant Show app and on the CL Bryant Show Facebook page. So go there, download our app today, and you'll get connected with Prepped Up Meals. What do you think, Karen?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm so proud of her, and that's what we need, more, women entrepreneurs who are going out there and making dreams happen.
Absolutely.
So, lots of congrats.
Well, we thank you for being here, Karen Watson.
Thanks.
You're not a stranger to the show. Before we even went on the air, we used to have you on to teach us how to do interviews.
Well,
and
it's
she
always
would
an
do
honor.
it.
It's
She
an
would
honor
do
to
it.
be here.
And she would call in, and she would be a call-in. She did everything for us. So we just love working with you, and we know our future together is long-lasting.
Absolutely.
What do you give us, like a 30-second leave behind?
Just believe in America. Stand strong. This is a citizen-run nation, so you have to get engaged, be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And to borrow a Democrat statement, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. One of the things you can do is get my books, Being Black and Republican, The Age of Obama, How Democrats Stole the Black Vote and How Republicans Can Win It Back. You can find me on Facebook. And also try to be a part of our new movie that's coming up. So glad to be here.
Karen
Howdy
Watson,
from Texas.
WATSON. Karen Watson on Facebook. Thank you very much. Thank you to the military, the men and women that protect us every day, the armed forces, police, firemen. And good night, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.
And the bond will never be torn for those who wear the uniform.